Tolleson-Mack podcast today. I got my man Brandon Brown, Cesar de la Cruz, and look who we got here, Tom Richards. 2014, I think you guys made it to the NFR, right? Am I right on that?
Big show.
All right, all right. The podcast today is brought to you by Flint Farms, as always. My man Chad, Southwest Farms, over there. Talk to Mike or Eric or whoever you need to see. But let's get into you guys roping, huh? 2014. Was that your last time making it, Cesar?
Yep, last time making it. But
Tell us about it.
To bring it back just a little bit, me and Tom roped a lot when he was younger around here, and kind of he was a guy that I knew he was gonna do something great in his roping career. He picked it up real fast, and I think we got to rope in the 15s a handful of times. And we did pretty good in a lot of those. But and then when I had the opportunity to rope with him in 2014, I was roping with Brock Hansen at the time, and he was going home and trying to do something different. You know, we were just at that time. I was probably 30th in the world. I was way down there, and Tom we're trying to fight our way into trying to make Houston and a few rodeos. It was awesome because my mentality was just trying to get in the top 50 or try to make Houston for the next year. Tom, he come in and I talked to him. He was like, man, we got a chance. Like, we got a chance. We can win this much here. We can win this much. He had it all calculated. He had a little notebook. He had a folder every time he'd had, the rodeo he'd go to, the entry fees, how much he'd win. He's like real businessman about it. And so like it was awesome to rope with this guy because every time we would have a good steer or something, like he would let me know, hey, I'm going to spend this steer right here. We have a chance to win this, right? But it wasn't like he was always going for first. If we had the opportunity to go for first, real smart about it. If we had a chance to win fourth, we were going to win money every place we went. And I'm not sure how many rodeos we had right there toward the end of the stretch.
I think we had 7 or 8 left.
Yeah.
And had to win around 23,000.
Wow. And 7 rodeos.
Yeah.
In 7 or 8 rodeos.
Yeah, and I started that year out with Monty Joe Petska.
Mm-hmm.
I was just jackpotting around here and with Cesar. And I think Cesar's second partner was Brock, or first partner was Brock.
Yep.
And we went to all the open ropings that winter around here. And I don't know if Cesar won all of them or like 6 or 7 of them. He'd either win with Brock or me.
Yeah, we did good.
And it was a pretty fun. And that year also is the year Junior got here with Jake, and I roped with him a little bit. And that's kind of what helped me keep rodeoing all year. We won the Hork Dog that year. And then me and Monty.
Junior did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me and Monty, I never rodeoed the whole year. And when I went with Monty, he kept entering us. And we had, I think, 45 or 5,000 won after the winter. I was like, man, I got to go home. Like,
This is rough.
Yeah. And he's like, no, we're going to go to California. We'll just keep going. And ended up winning the Hork Dog, and that got some money going. And we kind of got cold in the Northwest, and Cesar his partner was going home, and that's when we joined up.
So what happened to Monty then?
He got a different partner too, and kind of went. Yeah, we were pretty far behind. Like everybody, I know when I was driving to Omaha and over there, 2 or 3 people called me like, "Why are you going? You're already in the top 30. Like, you have no chance. You have to win first at the next 3 rodeos."
That's awesome.
And real quick, let's go back, Cesar. You talked about making Houston for the next year, and I think we've talked about it on the podcast, or maybe we've just been bullshitting about it, but the year before you guys got to be in the top 50 to be able to
They take you.
Yeah, that's how Houston works. That's why it's such a cool rodeo and pays so much, and like it's just awesome rodeo. But they only take 35 contestants. Sometimes they take 34. The years before that, 40. It changes 37. They change it up just a little bit because they invite a handful of guys too as well. Oh. And so that was, when you rodeo and you're so far out sometimes, and like, man, I knew, like, it's just like you never give up rodeoing. Like, there's always a chance. But then, like, at that time, it's like I was deflated just a little bit. And then when me and Tom roped, it was like we can do this. And I think so, Tom?
Like, did you get like a new blast of energy?
Yeah. I was like, man, this guy had some confidence, but then like he'd back it up. Like, we got this steer, and like he was taking care of business. Like I said, he's real calculated about everything. Like, if we had a good steer, man, he's like, we're gonna win something. And then if we had a bad steer, it's like, hey, I'm gonna hit the barrier. I'm gonna spin the sucker. You need to do some healing, and we're gonna win something still. but like we're gonna win fourth or fifth. We're gonna win something because like the way Tom rolled is like how I grew up too. Like if we don't have enough money, we can't go. Like we're gonna go until the bank account runs empty, and then we got to come back and work, and we'll try it again next time, you know. But that how it worked out. Like Tom, same way. He won just enough every time, and every rodeo we went to, we just won a little bit more, and we just chipped away. We went from like I was like 30 something, like I was in the back, and then all of a sudden it went from 35th to 30th to 25th, and like we were jumping every single rodeo we went to. So it come down to Omaha, and Tom can explain it just a little bit better about it, but we had to do really good in Omaha. So the year before, me and Derek Begay, we qualified because we won Omaha. Omaha was one of my favorite rodeos. I had a lot of success over there. So we won it the year before. So they had a Champions Challenge tour where the champions from the year before the rodeo would get to advance and already get to go to the tour. Like you just enter the rodeo, you're already in. So me and Derek were in, but me and Tom were not. Like there's no way me and Tom could get in. Like me and Big A already entered the rodeo. So the way it worked out, Omaha was our last rodeo. We had to win so much at Omaha to qualify. I'm not sure the exact number.
You had the fastest time at the Omaha Rodeo got to qualify to the Champions Challenge. So we had to win the first Omaha.
You and your partner.
Me and Cesar.
Me and
He was already in with Derek.
Oh, so you guys had to be fast time,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
So we ended up winning the rodeo. I think we were 4-6 or 4-8 or something.
we blasted one. Yeah.
And Al Bach and Joel won second. So Al got to rope with me at the Champions Challenge.
Okay.
Oh, I see how it works. Okay.
And so now we're going into the Champions Challenge, and we're both in. And this is like, we had to win X amount of money. We had to get into the Champions Challenge, both of us, to be able to qualify for the finals. Mm-hmm. And now I won enough money, and I'm into the Champions Challenge, so I have a chance to make the finals. Tom has a chance to make the finals. Like the two totally different partners.
That's nuts.
I had to win first, and Cesar had to win no worse than third.
Oh, wow.
No pressure.
Where both of us make
No
it.
pressure.
Well, I was about 5th or 6th out, and I think you were before me.
Yeah.
And you guys were like 4-3 or something.
Last one. Derek got one around the neck. I got one that finished fast. And like I'm like, holy cow! Like this, Tom called it before we got there. He says, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna win the first Omaha, and we're in the rodeo, and then we're gonna qualify for the Champions Challenge, and we're gonna win the Champions Challenge. We're different partners. I don't care. We're not gonna rope with each other, but we're gonna win it."
Yeah,
like, he called it, man. Like every rodeo we got to, he kept calling it. He kept calling. I'm like, this guy kept getting me
Power
more and more
positive
pumped,
thinking
more and more
right
pumped,
there.
more and more
That's awesome.
pumped. So like when I get to Omaha, dude, I'm like ready to rope again. Like I'm pumped up. And so like I said, he spins the one off, we win, and then it was funny how he comes back and like he has a good steer. And Al's the same way too. When he's got a header that's a gamer, man, like it almost kind of it almost looked like it was like Al Bach when he was 20 again. Like he was just pumped up.
He was out in the parking lot, and his boy was holding his rope, and he was practicing dallying, and I'm watching. He knows pretty much the whole scenario, you know. And Trevor Brazil, and I think he was roping with Patrick, maybe Travis Graves, somebody goes right in front of me and Al, 3-9.
Oh my!
I've never been 3-9. I've never been that fast.
Goodness.
And I'm like, and I have to win it.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to be kidding. So I just fire it and get a half head, and Al just 3-9. We tie.
Wow.
So it was just enough.
Wow.
It was so cool how it worked out. And then the very next day, we find out that they're gonna do an audit for the headers and heelers, and there's word that they're gonna try not to let us go to the rodeo because
To the
finals, the national finals. Yeah, like we're right there, 15th, and Chad Masters was heading, and Kenny Dale Harrell was heeling, and the reason was they said that we had entered Stephenville, and so I knew that I was already going to make the Champions Challenge, but Tom, if there was a way for him to make the finals, he was going to have to, possibly fly over there. But the way the money worked out, he had to stay in Omaha. Like we had to blast in Omaha. So was it the day before or so? We said we're gonna turn that steer.
Well,
out.
no, I could still go to Stephenville if I didn't qualify, and I was going to get a calf.
Yeah, if you weren't
something.
3-9,
Yeah,
you could.
well, if I wouldn't have placed the first day
Oh, okay.
to make the Champions Challenge.
Oh, okay.
So that was going to be Tom's last rodeo,
Would've
and
been
my
Stevens.
last
So
because
you
we
had
were
it as a
split up.
backup if you needed.
We roped to different partners. Like
Right.
it's wild how it all lined out. And we had to win so much. Me and him. It's like he roped to the different partners. Like man, and then now your guys are trying to like we fought hard, man. Like it's like
It sounds
David
like,
and
there
Goliath.
was a lot of moves.
We're David and Goliath, man. We won, dude. Like we beat these guys. Like we did something that hasn't been done before, like that. And then now we're trying to say that we didn't make it. That really got to me, man. So Tom had his book, like he's wrote every rodeo down, everything, like he had it lined out. So on his way home from Omaha, he drove to Colorado Springs, the headquarters of the PRCA, and he says, "I want to talk to the head guys." And I don't know.
Well, the lady that does the where you call and say you made a short round or something, she does something. She was on vacation that week.
Of course.
Of
The
course she
last
was.
2 days of the whole deal. Yeah.
Of course she was.
So when she come back in Monday, our money went in.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of didn't go in for a while, which everyone was like, that's not right. They didn't count it or something. But I went to 75 rodeos.
Is that what
Very
they
good.
were saying? You guys had too many, or
Well,
What
because of
was-
Stephenville,
It would have
You
been.
it would have been
76.
70. Well, if I wouldn't have made the Champions
Yeah.
Challenge, Stephenville would have been my 75th.
Oh,
But we turned it out because I made the
Yeah.
Champions
yeah, I mean, basically
Challenge.
you had it on there as a backup if you didn't make the
Right.
challenge, right?
And so I turned it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to go to the Champions Challenge. And so like it was just a tricky deal because like then Martin Lucero really, him and his partner, I can't remember who he was roping with, but he wanted that trade. He wanted that to go at that time. And so that's what put the big hubbub about it. Like, oh, you guys went to too many rodeos. And anyways, there's, a guy can get real technical on it, but man, so what happened was we had to get lawyers because they were trying to say that we didn't qualify. I went to 75 rodeos. I didn't go to any more rodeos. And so at that time they were saying, right about that time, they're like, Chad Masters and Katie Hero made the finals. Like, no. Me and Tom made the finals. And so we had to prove that we made it. So we had to audit and do all this stuff. And at the same time, that lady that wasn't there in time, it took a while to get the audit. It took forever, right? And then so
where was this as far as timing? Was this like
into September.
into
I think
September? or-
they told us when it was all done with, it was like 10 days before the finals.
it was not
We were
less
at-
than
Oh, I mean,
2
like, when
weeks.
you got-
bullshit.
That's
We were already
Big time
practicing.
bullshit.
Wow.
Like we're trying to argue with them, like, hey, like it was over,
Wow.
October 1st, like
Oh,
the rodeo
wow.
season
Yeah,
was
that's what I
over.
mean. Same in September.
Yeah, so like we're just like, come on, man, like we made the finals, and then it's like went to and then so they posted it on like the social media stuff, and then they posted on it wasn't the Team Roping Journal back then, I can't remember what it was, but
Spend to win.
Spin to Win, they're
Spin to
like
Win.
they posted that Chad and Kenny made it.
Mm.
And so this whole time, man, I was getting frustrated. I was like, no, we made it. Tom has proof. He's got written documentation about all the roadies he went to. I didn't quite have the documentation like that, but I knew exactly the money one that I had before I roped to Tom. And I know I didn't go to 76 rodeos. I went to 75 rodeos. And so what they had to do is they get a group of Ike Sankey was one of the ones that I know for sure, because I remember him talking the most about it. But there was a handful of old school. It's like
5 or 6 people that weren't involved, but kind of judged
Mhm.
and they played back the pro-com calls, and
Wow.
everybody listened to it. And
Really?
it was a 5-0 vote. Us, it was
unanimous vote. Like you guys, Tom and Cesar, you guys made the finals.
Yeah.
Unanimous.
Really?
It took them this whole time
That's
to,
crazy.
to call it out and say yeah, and then so now it's like, man, we just barely made the finals. Like we're just trying to get by, and so now Tom has 10,000 out because he had to get a lawyer and all that stuff, and I had a brother-in-law defending me, so it was half of that. So it's like, man, we're just barely struggling, and now like 2 weeks before the final or 10 days before the finals, they say, okay, yeah, Tom and Cesar, you guys get to go. So they had to recap and do a bunch of stuff, but they really didn't, because they blew it up before that, like Chad and Kenny and all this stuff, and the magazines and all this stuff. And like, man, and then all of a sudden we made it. And it's like, oh yeah, you guys made it.
Well, why don't you tell the listeners my favorite part about it? You guys wore 2 back numbers in there that no one will ever wear again.
Yeah.
Because they'd already gave your back numbers.
They had
to Chad,
jackets
right?
lined out for Chad. They had Kenny's jackets. They had the rings. They had all that stuff with their names on it, everything, the bags, and then all of a sudden they had to do it all over again. Tom got 120. I got 121.
And they only take 118 people.
There's
to the finals,
118
right?
contestants at the
Contestants.
NFR. Yeah. And so like me and Tom got both numbers that nobody's ever seen.
They're never gonna have that again.
So what was wrong with 119?
I don't know.
Who knows?
It was a hazer, bulldog and hazer.
Bulldog.
I don't know.
Bulldogger
Something
got
like
it.
that. Something like that.
Bulldogger
That's
got
a
it.
crazy ass story right there.
So
Man.
what you made it twice, right?
Yeah.
How was the other time? Was it that?
No, it was a lot less drama. I
Yeah.
think we had it made with a month left to rodeo, so it was.
Okay.
What'd you go in that year at?
I think like 7th,
Okay.
8th.
Did you rope with that same partner the whole time? You kind of
No,
a couple different partners, right?
Yeah, I started with Tyler McKnight, and then we kind of split up, and I roped with Ryan Moats the last 2 months probably, and Ryan didn't end up making it, and I roped with Jeremy Bueller at the finals.
Okay.
Fear the beard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Did you have a beard back then too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What year was that?
17.
17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he lives down there. I got a little lease down by Maricopa, and he lives right there in a little neighborhood right there.
Yeah.
Those guys will go gather some if we get them out or something. They
Yeah.
love it.
Little Canada.
Yeah, it's like
Little
little
Canada.
Canada down there. Yeah, that's what everybody from over there has, some Canada plates or something like that. So, what are you up to now? You're running some rope and cattle. I know I got a fresh new hat.
Well, they're after 2017, I bought like 12 head of steers to practice on, and I give way too much for them, so I didn't have much to do with them when I left. I ended up leasing them out. And I was like, man, that's a pretty good deal. So I ended up buying some more and leasing them out. And in the meantime, there's a gas station by our house, and it just closed down one day. You know, you go up there and the doors are locked. Well, I knew the guy that owned it, so I called him and I said, hey, what's going on? You know, oh, the people that's running it, they run out of money and they don't want to do it no more. And I said, well, would you let somebody lease it and try it out, you know? Well, do you know how to do it? And I was like, no, I've been to a lot of gas stations.
Tom's been to tons of gas stations.
I mean, I know what I want to see in them, you know.
Yeah.
So he ended up letting us lease it, and me and my wife did that for like a year. And it was a pretty cool experience, you know, to not know anything about it, and then all of a sudden, here you are running a gas
Yeah.
station. And we did it for 1 year, and then he sold the building, and we kind of got out of it, which was, we were tired of it. We worked there every day for, you know, you open at 5 and close at 10 at night. It was a lot of work.
Can imagine.
Yeah,
Gas
that's a
station.
lot. So then you just went on and kept buying like more steers
Yep.
and more steers, and you lease them out or you put on ropings? Or
Yeah,
what?
I just started leasing them out, and that's what I started doing. And then a couple people up there wanted to have some ropings, and I was like, well, I'll get some off lease and we'll rope them, you know. So the last 2 or 3 years, I've been just having the ropings up there in the summer, and there's about one a weekend, either Chino Valley, Prescott, Camp Verde, and it's keeping me busy with that.
Yeah. How was all the weather that we had up there over the winter time for your roping deals? Or did they do a bunch in the winter? I don't even know.
No, not really in the winter. It's
No.
a little too cold.
Yeah.
We'll go from April to 1st of October, kind of.
So you're kind of opposite of Wickenburg?
Yeah.
Ish.
And it's a lot smaller up there, you know. Wickenburg's huge.
When I was doing it up there, Williams rains damn near every day in the summertime. So, it was tough to get, like, even a World Series, there would be some days the whole day would be washed out, and then they'd have to work the arena for the next day. And you would have all these cattle up there that were supposed to be roped in the first, in the higher numbers, and you didn't even use them. And you just, so it's a tough deal with that weather up there for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Tanner Baldwin on here, and he was telling me the numbers of the, what it costs to run the team roping cattle and the trucking and all that stuff. And man, my hat's off to you guys, because I even went home and put it on a calculator, and I can't figure out how to do it. I really couldn't figure it out in my head, so I went home to a calculator. I still can't figure it out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess with the leasing, you offset some of the cost and things like that.
It's definitely a lifestyle. You have to love it, just like
Yeah.
anything else. You have to love it.
Yeah, and you have a lot of cattle to rope, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Anytime-
become more of a job, so it's not as fun.
Yeah.
When you get 20 in off lease, you got to go rope them to see if they're any good.
And how are these hay prices?
Oh, they're pretty high right
Yeah,
now.
I can imagine.
What's hay going for up there?
It's about 450 a ton delivered up there the last couple loads, and then it's coming down now
Yeah.
a little bit.
Starting to come down.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you know about the hay market coming down?
It's I know about coming down more than I know about it going up. It seems like, but it's definitely softening up. I think this summertime hay is gonna start coming off, and you'll be able to get some. We haven't had no rain. Like all last year, it didn't rain hardly a lick down here. So if we get some monsoons, you'll get some of that cheaper hay will come your way.
Is some of that caused by the exporters?
Keeping the price high. Yeah, 100%.
They pretty much set the market, right? And all
Yeah.
these guys fall in behind it.
But last week, the export price has dropped about $30 since last Thursday. So yeah, it's
What do you
not
think?
looking
Do you know
great.
the number on what they export out of here?
I don't.
That's got to be a lot, man.
I
What's Fondamont hold
So-
out there at Vicksburg?
Don't quote me on this, but I've heard stories anywhere from 80 to 100 semi-loads a day
Exported?
going into Fondo
Oh, going in there.
while they're buying. So I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know.
So that has to be a lot of it coming out of there too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What do you think about like for the listeners that are going to come to Arizona next winter and stuff? What are they going to have to pay? You think is it going to be about the same as this year, more or less? Kind of.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to tell. Always in the wintertime, especially lately, the price is gonna be higher than right now. I suggest if they're like some of these people that come in from from Canada and stuff down here, and they have a place in Wickenburg, well, they'll go to their local feed store in Wickenburg, and it's going to be probably the highest in the state, I'd imagine, right there.
Oh
in
yeah, I
Wickenburg.
guarantee you. Wickenburg's the highest.
I would recommend for them people kind of venture out, take a drive down to where they're making the hay down in here, and try to maybe buy.
Or some of them guys can buy, a semi load
and split it up between so
yeah.
many people. But man, if I was them and I was looking for hay, I'd come down to where the hay's made down here, try to hook up with somebody direct and store it or do something. But it seems like when they show up there, they need the hay right now. And I'm not saying that feed store, but all the places up there, they kind of
Do you sell a bunch of hay up there, Tom?
How much hay do you kind of keep in storage for your cattle?
About a semi-load every 2 weeks, 3 weeks is what I go through.
So that's how many head do you have?
I have 200 head up there right now.
All good to rope?
Oh, some are better than others.
Yeah, but I mean, on average, most of them, they're all
I have
pretty good to rope.
170 that go to the jackpots, and then I have 60 fresh ones that I haven't broke in yet. So there's
Do you buy natives or Mexicans?
both.
Yeah. Oh, you said you bought some Bob Burris?
Yeah, I've bought
Yeah.
some from Bob.
Yeah.
They're pretty wild
Yeah.
sometimes. And
We know all about that, don't we, Cesar?
Oh yeah, they'll jump out of the fence.
Holy moly.
6 foot fence, they can get over it pretty fast.
Holy
Yeah.
moly. But they last a long time. That's one thing I say about them. A little crazy to start, but once you get them, they'll last a long time.
Yeah.
They're tough.
Big time.
Yeah. So you were going on the road with this guy in the truck. We got to have some stories. There's got to be some stories. We can keep it as PG as you guys want to keep it, but that's what we want to hear.
So
Yeah.
did you guys before you started? Did you guys have separate rigs at this time, or like when you're going on,
Man,
you guys throw in the same
We
rig?
had to grind, so it was actually extremely fun to go with Tom. Man, he's one of my favorite partners to rodeo with because we
You
went.
said that before, like
Yeah,
2 or 3 times on other
with-
podcasts.
yeah, he's so fun, man. We went for Pendleton. We had to go to, was it Pasadena, Texas? We had to go from across the country. We had to go, like I said, south. We had to go to Stephenville, Texas. We had to go to Omaha, Nebraska. We had to go we had this big circle, man. And actually, we didn't go to Stephenville. We went right through it to go to Omaha. We went right past it. You know what I mean? So it was quite the experience. And just driving, it was fun, man. Listening to music, just kind of hanging out. And shoot, want to pull over and get something? Yeah, let's pull over and get something. And then it was good about Tom's driving some bucks. That's
So
about
you guys would travel together a bunch, or would you meet at the ropings?
Or
Man.
follow each other?
Man, at that time, man, it was only a couple weeks left in rodeo season, so I jumped in with him. He had a cool little rig.
Makes better sense, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a rodeo. I left my rig, and I said we kind of jumped in together just to save the expenses, but we didn't have a driver, nothing like that. So we need to get together because I think there was 20 some hour drive from up north all the way down to Pasadena.
we went to Albuquerque first,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
right.
the next night at Albuquerque from Pendleton.
Jesus.
So I think it's 22, 23 hours. Get
Yeah.
there 2 hours before. And
So would there ever be like if you ever see a radio like, no, that's just too far to go. It doesn't make sense to drive that far. Or is this like you had it?
Man,
It didn't matter.
You're gonna see some guys that time of year that'll go from all over the place. I think was it Taylor Santos went from California to
New Jersey?
New Jersey.
New York,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was running rodeos, and he drove too
So
to get over there.
what'd you guys say you won like in 2 weeks? 20-some thousand or 3
I think
weeks?
22
whatever it
or
was?
3.
Yeah, man, like it was.
I mean,
It
you
was-
gotta put some miles on to get that to happen.
Yeah, but like right, and then like I said, every time we'd go somewhere, we'd win something. Man, it was just like bam, 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 and like my confidence kept going up, and like I said, the traveling was fun. Everywhere we like, it was just fun. So like I said, when I showed up to Omaha, I was in a great frame of mind, and like he was like, "We can do this," and like, you really think so, Tom? Like I made the finals before, and Tom's this new guy, you know what I mean? And he's like, "Yeah, we can do this, man," and that. Talk to these guys about your dad. Your dad's made the finals before, and I think he gets his mentality from his old man. They're real smart, real knowledgeable about
well,
rodeo.
that's where I've had the benefit. You know, my dad's taught me everything about roping and brought me up to do this, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's helped. And then my other deal, I had one horse too. So that kind of hindered
Big money.
where
was
we
his
had
thing.
to drive all the time because I couldn't really mount out. I hardly ever rode any other horses. He was the best one, and I
Yeah.
wanted to ride him. So and
So
that,
it was worth the 22-hour drive to be on your own horse.
oh yeah,
Right.
and he was the only reason I made it probably ever. But he's kind of that type of horse. The more you go, the better he gets.
Uh-huh.
And that was I started rodeoing in 2008, but I'd go to 4 or 5 circuit rodeos, get broke, go home, go to 10, go home. I just never went the full year. And that 2014 was the first time I ever really tried to keep going. And I was like, get that close right at the end. I'm going to try to finish it out. We got to, I might never try it again.
Yeah. Do you remember what your mindset, the difference in your mindset was in 2014 versus those other years when you just kind of went and then went home and went home? 2014, I mean, listen to this guy. You were on the grind, like you were on a mission.
Yeah, I mean, it all started when I roped with Monty. He kept entering us. I always entered my other partners, and I roped with Tyler Getzweiler a lot. And we were green. We were both 18. We had no idea. We had a GPS. We bought before cell phones had the
Well, like a Garmin, TomTom Go.
Yeah.
Garmin.
We'd put in the address of the rodeo, and
Mm-hmm.
here we're driving and show up. We have no idea where it is. We never been to one before. Every place was brand new. So we'd get out,
That's
go look at the
pretty cool.
arena
That is.
at 10 o'clock at night. Dang, it looks like, man, maybe just keep him straight here. I don't know. Let's go look at the steers. See what they look, And we went to, I remember Gunnison, Colorado. Well, we type in Gunnison, Colorado rodeo on this little GPS. And I wake up and Tyler's driving and we're like 20 miles on this dirt road. And I'm like, there's no way the rodeo's out here. Well, it takes us
But
to
he
Scott.
just kept driving.
Yeah, it takes us to Scott Honeycutt's house.
Really?
We pull right in, and he's like, "No, the rodeo's in town, way back there. You went way by."
Oh,
It's kind of funny.
So it just cruised you right to Scott's house. I'm sure he was happy to see you guys first thing in the morning.
About 2 a.m.
Yeah, right. Knocking on the door. Hey, where's the arena at?
What the hell are you boys doing?
As always, this episode is brought to you by Cattleman's Processing down in Cochise, Arizona, opening our second location in Deming, New Mexico. Brendan, you know anything about those guys?
Yeah, I do. I've sent some animals down there too. Everything's top-notch professional. I mean, when I say professional, it's from the word up. I mean, every there's not anything out of place at that place. I mean, it is clean as it can get, and in top-notch facility the way they run it. I mean,
USDA inspected.
for sure. You guys do a hell of a job down there.
Thank you.
I'm a guy that likes to rope cattle, and I'm a guy that likes to have a good steak after the roping. So if you want some of the best steaks around, Cattleman's is where it's at.
Hey, welcome back to Tolleson-Mack. Got the full cups. We still got Tom Richards here. He hasn't run off yet. So in the intermission or whatever you want to call it, the break we take, we always start telling cool stories. So I got to stop these guys like halfway through their story. I was like, whoa, you got to tell this on air. So Cesar, you were saying that you've known Tom for a long time and
Man,
roped
for a
with
long
him when he
time.
was younger and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
in college, I got to spend quite a bit of time with Tom because my good friend Dan Whitworth, which is Tom's cousin, would leave his horses up there quite a bit at Tom's house. George Richards
And Dewey.
Yeah, George Richards is Dan's uncle. So we'd go spend quite a bit of time up there because the steers and beers are open. We had Tanner Bryson in here.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
so,
what he
so
was
the
talking
steers
about.
and beers, we'd go to them opens quite a bit, man. And
Yeah.
so like it was just fun. So like every time we'd stop in, one of the stories is pretty funny that we stop in and me and Dan are, we're college, you know what I mean? Dan's winning the region, I believe, and I'm right there pretty close to him, second or third or something at the time. So we're thinking we're big dogs. And so Tom is over there. He got his dummy out there. Who were you roping? Was your little brother?
I think Ryan. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're out there, got their dummy out. And I mean, they're on their home court turf over there. So
They had home court advantage.
we matched. And I have this, you know what I mean? I have this little trailer, this little bumper pull, little trailer. And so I popped off, you know what I mean? We're going to match, you know what I mean? We'll match that trailer. I shit you not. Like, they won, man. They won. He never let me live it down, too. So even rodeo and stuff, he just talks about that trailer. When can I pick up that trailer?
Still waiting to pick up.
Yeah,
the
I need to
bumper
get my
pull.
trailer.
Need
Yeah.
to go there, pick up the trailer. So we were talking also too. Your dad made the finals 7 times, won the world.
Yeah, he made the finals 7 times, won the world in '78, and he coached me through everything. And that's when I was out there rodeoing it. Almost after every run, I'd either call him or text him what we did, and just a great coach to help me with all that.
Right, because I mean, listening to Cesar and these other guys like Eric and all these guys that have been to the finals, like it's a whole deal. Like you got to know where to stand and where not to stand and where to put your horse and where to put your trailer and what autograph session to go to and all that stuff. So, I mean, I think having somebody like that or, making it with a guy like this or whoever, I think a lot of those guys have helped you along the way, huh?
Oh, yeah. And that's when I was young. I seen Cesar come in, there, and Cesar and Dan were the big dogs here, Heelan.
Until you beat them for the trailer.
Well, I mean, I was a lot younger, yeah. I was trying hard. I wanted to win that trailer.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, you see them doing it, and then to see Cesar keep making the finals and doing good and making it, it's like, man, maybe I got a
believe
shot,
yourself,
because he didn't come from money. I didn't come from money. I mean, you get kind of one shot, and that's a good horse. You got to have a good horse, and you got to rope good and pay attention and tend business. But, I had one horse throughout the years that was good enough. I had some good ones, but one that was good enough to get to that level. And I still have him. He's 20 years old now. I ride him every once in a while. Big money, yep.
Big money. Yeah, that's a good name for him, right?
Yeah. Well, I give 12.5 for him. That was the most I ever give for a horse at that time. And I was like, I'm calling him big money, man. I had to loan money and everything. And he
Beg,
was
borrow, steal.
yeah, complete runaway, hard to be around. And I was like, I messed up.
Oh,
Like, I'm in trouble. He
How
wasn't
long-
good at the beginning.
But those rodeo horses, his style, like I said, we went from Pendleton to to Albuquerque to Pasadena we went all over the place. And I ain't kidding you, when we showed up at the last few rodeos, as hard as we rodeoed that last week right there, Omaha, that horse fired. But that horse can really, really run across the line, and Tom can get him on a short rope and let his heelers throw fast. So that's why I have one of my favorite partners was Tom's, because like he allowed me to throw right in the switch every single time.
Yeah. So, how long did it take you to get him calmed down? You said when you bought him, you're like, "Uh-oh, I made a mistake."
Well, I bought him in like 2010, probably. He was 8. And it took like a year. I went and ranched on him some, and I had an older horse I called Chalk. You might have.
Sorrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was roping with Nick Sarche, just circuit rodeoing. We won 3 rodeos in a weekend. It was the first deal the PSN called me, a little article, the hat trick, 3 rodeos, Cave Creek, Queen Creek, Payson or something. And I won it on Chalk, that old horse of mine. And we're going to the BFI in like 2 weeks. So Nick pulls up there and I have big money. And he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to bring this one. Like he can run harder. Like I'm going to bring him." He's like, "Man, I will pay for your stall. We got a 4 horse. Let's just throw Chalk in just in case."
Just take him with
And
us.
I was like, "No, if we take him, I'm going to ride him. I know that. I want to ride this one." And we ended up leaving him, and me and Nick won 3rd in the BFI that year.
wow.
So
Oh,
then
that's pretty
he
cool.
went to my number 1 horse after that.
Yeah, we talk about horses a lot, Cesar. has a lot of love for a lot of guys' horses. I was super surprised that the horse Eric Rogers heads on's 18, and stuff like that. But he's like, man, it's just good.
When they're that age, they don't mess up.
Yeah, there ain't no mess up in them anymore. So, what do you think about these young kids coming up? I mean, some of them have a pretty big wallet they get to stand on and puff their chest out, but some of them got to make these horses. I mean, we talked to little Mike a lot. He's got to make his own horses, and there's some other kids that got to make them. What are your feelings on some of those little kids coming up?
You can try to make one, but if you make them your friend and like learn everything about them, and you got to start with one that has a lot of ability also.
Mm-hmm.
But it works when you just go buy one. Sometimes it's not a very good fit. You can buy a really good one and not work out. Somebody else might take him and love him,
Yeah.
And that's the key to it. And I think taking care of your horse out there is a big deal too.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't tend your horse very good and you're going through a horse a year, if you have a good year and win 150,000 and you buy a $150,000 horse and trailer and truck, you're not going to make much money.
So when you say take care of your horse, was there a lot of times where you guys would have to pull over and let the horses, maybe necessarily out, but like have one of your dad's friends or something knew a place where you could go and let these horses, chill for 4 or 5 hours? Or
yeah, you have places along the way you can stop and you get to know better places.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's a benefit right there in its own.
Mm-hmm.
Like that when you're 18 and not necessarily you, but when someone's 18 didn't know nothing out there, they're going to wherever they can. But if I'm sure, Cesar, you have a lot of spots where you can pull up any time of the day and night. And
Tom was good about getting on his horse early and just riding him around, not really just loping a bunch of circles, but just riding, cruising around. If you're saddle up 2 hours before the rodeo, you can ride around the arena and cruise around and stuff. But Tom was one of them guys that as soon as about an hour and a half, a lot of the times hour before the rodeo's gonna start, they post the draw. He was right there. Like he took care of business. That's one of my favorite things about him, and he did dang sure his horse was part of it too. So like I said, the young guys now, we talked about it a little bit. It's we're gonna require a little bit of sponsorship, I think, now to do it, because man, when Tom did it, we won every single rodeo that we needed to. But like if there was a point that we run out of money, both of us were gonna have to come home, and it just worked out how we went to Omaha, and like we won just enough money to get to Omaha, and then we got to Omaha, we won enough money to make the finals. So I was just like I said, Tom calculated that whole thing, because like I said, quarterbacks, if you got a good quarterback when you're rodeoing,
right,
and the header, I called. But like if you got a good quarterback, you have a chance to make the finals.
So I got a question about that 15 to 16 fiasco you guys got in there. So I don't know, like if you had a lot of sponsors, but you had a lot of sponsors back then, right?
Man, I had.
So are they calling you like, hey man, are you in the finals or you're not in the finals?
No, I've had a few of them, but like right there toward the end, some of the sponsors, man, they're good about product, but like when you're needing $5,000, like I'm needing, because I'm traveling, whatever, they're not as friendly about that.
Yeah, when you guys are traveling hard at the end to try to make the finals to get their product in the finals, they're not here. Let me get you a check.
Like there's some good sponsors, and I've had it's more or less I had a guy out here that helped me with the field card and a few things like that, but he wasn't involved with rodeo. He was a steel manufacturer guy. Like he was,
Right.
It was different. Shout out to Kevin Robin Allred.
Oh yeah, I remember that patch. You were in those Allred steel. Allred
that was one of my
steel
favorite. Yeah, that was one of my favorite ones, because the fuel card, and I put there was $25,000 on the card, $30,000 in a year. So that's pretty one of my biggest sponsors. And like at that time, there wasn't just a whole lot of it was hard trying to make the guys from 16th to 20th right there. You really struggle trying to get back ready to rodeo the next year. You have to watch the top 15 guys rope at the finals. It's a tough deal, and then they're just broke, man.
I just wonder that, because you think of the business side of it, and say I'm sponsoring you, and you guys call me up and say, hey, I'm pretty sure we made the finals, and then I pick up Spin to Win, and it shows that Chad Masters is in the finals and not Tom Richards. I'll be like, hey, what's going on? Like,
I did have that.
I just wondered if they called and were like,
yeah.
hey, what's happening? You're telling me you're getting in the finals. We're gonna have this big push of product behind you, because that's what that's what sponsors are for, right? If we sponsor somebody, we want something back for it. So they're gonna have the big push of product behind you. I just wondered if when they seen that, they were like, "Oh shit, what's going on?" You know?
Yeah, man. It's so at that time, Chad and I was sponsored by Cactus, and Chad was sponsored by Cactus too. So there was the Barry Berg was trying to kind of go back and forth. You know,
They didn't know if they should send heel ropes or
Yeah,
head ropes.
yeah.
They didn't know which box to
he
send
had to be
out.
friendly with both of them. You know what I mean? It's like so it was a tough deal, man. Like I mentally too. After that, I was kind of angry. Even going to the finals, I was not in a good spot mentally, man. I was pretty upset about just the whole situation, just walking around, and
Yeah.
it's like, man, I seen some of the judges walking around and like they knew about it too. It's like all the PRCA, the office and stuff knew about it because we caused a pretty good hubbub over there at the office, just trying to get in. But man, I just wasn't in a very good spot. I was just,
So is that then kind of, Tom? Is that like your job? Like you're mad too, right? You're upset.
No, I was happy.
Well, you
First
were
year I
happy.
made
Amazing.
it. He was.
oh, I was
But-
frustrated.
But
Like,
he
you know
was
what I mean?
frustrated, so you were happy. I mean, that comes into your job, having to be like, Cesar, it's cool, bro. We're in now. Like we've made it in. Like
Let's prove them wrong
let's
now.
prove them wrong. You know.
No, I mean, we knew we were
Mhm.
deserved to be there.
Yeah.
For sure.
It was not that at all. I was pumped to be there.
So how was it your first year?
Oh,
like
there's
the,
no better feeling. You walk
the
in that tunnel.
tunnels and, yeah.
So we went in 15th. So you're first one lined up in the tunnel, and it's 4 foot wide probably to get in there. There's 15 horses, and like my ranch horse, Big Money, pretty much that come off the ranch
Dude,
there.
I love that.
But Bob Burris raised him.
Okay.
So Eric Rogers was up there watching the bulldogging, and he is, my horse is just nervous. He's looking, because you can't see much, and then it just opens up huge. And Eric's coming in, and they're like, "All right, team ropers," and the judge, "Get in here, you're up, get in, let's go." And Big Money just whirls and turns and knocks him down right
Oh
there.
shit.
He kind of steps on him, yeah. And they're calling me, "You're gonna get fined." I'm like, "Sorry, Eric, I've gotta go." So it was
Jeez.
kind of a fun.
And you guys were the first ones.
Oh
up?
yeah, you're the first ones in there.
Oh yeah.
You-
And then didn't you say like the steers split you? So
Yeah.
You're on one side and you're on the other side.
You can't really talk or nothing. It's
you can't
pretty
talk.
far.
It's loud too. Like so,
Oh,
you,
yeah.
you got to be like scream like hey to hear anything from each other. And your guys are like 15, 20 feet apart is all.
Oh yeah.
What did you guys do in that first year? Do you remember?
Man, I messed up. I missed. I
Oh.
I didn't start off very good for Tom over there, and then but like his positive mentality on the whole situation, like
I love that.
we ended up finishing really good and still salvaging, winning a little money out of the
Okay.
NFR. I think did we
I think
win
we-
the last day money? We got some buckles.
No, second.
Second.
We won. We placed in the 5th to the 10th round, I think.
Yeah.
The last
Oh, that's
5
cool.
we
Like I
placed.
said, I think if I could have started off and got a little better start, we'd have done better in the average and stuff like that. But man, that's a tough place over there. Man,
And how
it really
was
is.
after you knocked down Eric and you got to ride into the.
It might have loosened him up a
Like,
little
did it
bit.
loosen you up a
Well,
little
yeah,
bit?
I
Or
just
break
was-
some ice.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I was
That's
just as
funny.
shocked as my horse, I guess, going in there.
Yeah.
But
It is loud and like so. Caesar kind of explains it like you see all the people, but like you don't really see the people.
yeah, that's kind of a good way to say it. Like you know it's all there, but you kind of just look down at the steer and like you're just down here. Everything else is above you, all the people and everything. So it's
Did
you kind of do your job, and it's more exciting right before and after.
Yeah.
When you rope, it's kind of
So it's like prom.
comfortable.
You make a good
Like
run, you feel
prom.
like
Get your day.
like the movie The Gladiator. You know what I mean? Everybody's screaming at you like, yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, I did it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's why you see everybody celebrate, man. It's like you're a gladiator out there, but just you're so nervous and like you're trying to make sure to do a good job, and all of a sudden you make a good run, and it's like it just you can't hold it.
And
you
it's
can't
probably the biggest arena in the world when you miss.
Yeah.
Right?
Dude,
Like to ride out of there?
It is
like
the smallest arena, but it's the longest walk to get out of that arena.
out of that.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Up
like
the tunnel.
biggest
Yeah.
Way out of there. Like
Yeah.
Did you ride Big Money both times?
No, I rode a sorrel horse I bought from Brad and Barry Smith the second time. And it was just kind of on a whim. Like I practiced on them both and he worked good. I rode him at like 3 rodeos that year before. So he hadn't been rode hardly anywhere. And he was more free running. So I made the finals on Big Money the second time also. And I just cracked that sorrel horse out. And it was funny. Chad made it that year, and he told me, he said, I would have bet my whole ranch or house that you would have been on big money. And I was like, I would have too. I wouldn't have took that bet.
How did he do the 10 rounds with all the people?
He did awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, that sorrel horse, he did awesome.
I think they like it. You know, a good horse. You know what I mean? Like they kind of like it.
They
Yeah.
feel the energy.
I didn't think he would leave the box when I backed in there though.
Oh,
Like the first one, he just looked and he looked again, and we're in the box, and I kick him forward 2 or 3 times. I'm like, we got to go. When I know we have to go. Don't just stand here.
yeah.
That was pretty scary because I only rode him 2 other places before that.
The biggest rodeo in the world.
Yeah.
Millions of people watching and stuff. And like, yeah, it's wild. But like, if you got a good feeling about a horse, and like Coulter Todd, he the second year he rode a little horse that was 4 years old. She was green, but like practicing on her and took a couple rodeos. He roped so good on this thing, and he had a horse that won third in the head horse of the year category. And so he rode the young one because he felt better on that one, and he spun all 10 of them, you know, that year. So it's like, it's the same thing, Tom. If you got a good feeling about it, just rock it.
roll with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the older, better horses there get too short. Like they know that wall's coming,
Yeah.
and they know they're going to have to pull up it. So when you go to throw on a head horse, they just get super strong. Where one that hasn't been rode as much, give you one more jump forward, you know, and set them
And
up.
for a
little
healer,
better.
it's easier because if they can give you one clean hop right there where they can put their
You're not
legs
running out
together.
of room.
Yeah, and if they happen to have to beat the head horse to the saddle horn, they give you that big whip. Them steers come out of their walking, and it's hard to heel them. And then at the same time, it's hard to get them on a short rope and get that head horse faced. Like it's like slower. But if you can
Who do
set
you
the
think-
steer up and get them on a short rope and just like finish the run.
Who do you guys think is the best header to handle cattle in the Tolleson-Mack?
Trevor Brazil.
Trevor Brazil's one of my favorites, but like here recently, you know, the last couple of years, Caleb's done a good
Yeah.
job, man. Like I like
I mean,
the
and
American.
it's hard. I mean, those are the
Yeah.
best
Well,
guys ever. I know.
And
but-
that's a good point of it right there. Caleb, when he first was there, I mean, he's been there way more than I ever will, but he would reach more,
Yeah.
and it's just harder.
Is that because they get them on a shorter rope and they're
Yeah,
not
it's
throwing
just-
so much line?
Man, it's just as a healer over there, it's just hard to get them on a short rope and heel them and snap them. It's like when the header ropes and the head horse gets a little bit short, man, they hit and they take a big old long hop, and when you heel them, it's
You're
like
all the way
the rope
across.
is like it slides, man. You can't hardly stop the rope, and then you put that extra coil out there for the heel rope because you slid that much rope, and then the header's got a bow in his rope because you got that little extra slack, and now. I mean, everybody's 3, and now they call out 4.8. You know what I mean? Like you're a full second off the pace just because they had that too much extra slack out there.
we talk about all the time, like practice how you play, but is there anybody that like sets up the Tolleson-Mack arena
Before they
Oh,
go?
A lot
Like,
of the headers do, or they go someplace to where they can
that's
kind
real
of get
small
the
and
feel.
compact.
They'll put like big bells inside the arena
Yeah.
just to
Uh-huh.
they'll measure it out, make the boxes exactly the same, and
When me and
That's
Jeremy
pretty cool.
were practicing, he had a semi in like a 35 or 40 foot stock trailer.
Yeah.
And he would park it right next to the head box. We had it measured out where he'd park it, and it was just a wall, you know, like aluminum trailer. And it was a pretty cool
Yeah, that would
deal
be.
to set up with, you know, because you could free him up and go farther, and he could track them, or you could do it right there
mm-hmm.
and have it pretty live.
That's what a lot of them do. They only put half of the arena,
Mhm.
and then that way, if they need to rope and they push forward and then they turn and go
They
all the
got
way,
more.
yeah, they could go around the fence or go around that little semi
You
trailer.
need to free them
Yeah,
up a little.
yeah, because them head horses, they get quick with that little shot right there.
Yeah, I just asked that because I mean that shows the difference that the pro guys take it to, right? Like, I mean, they're setting up different arenas for the arenas they're going to. I mean,
Oh yeah,
you know, a football player gets to practice and play on the same 100 yards every Sunday. You know,
it's
you
changed.
guys get dealt.
Yeah.
It's
different-
changing every day or every week. So like,
Yeah.
especially like a setup like that, like these guys are fixing to go to Salinas and Prescott and stuff like that. So they might, for Prescott, they're going to come out of the heel box. So they might go to
Start
somebody's
running on the
practice
football.
pin and
Oh, yeah.
go on that side to make sure the head horse will cross over. You know what I mean? The same thing for Salinas. You got to make sure that heel horse will go back around the chute. So like, yeah, the pros always practice. Like that's for the young listeners.
Yeah.
The pros it's a fun job, but it's still a job as being a professional roper. They're working every day to try to prepare for what they got to face.
Yeah, I remember the very first podcast when we talked to you, and you were telling me how much Coulter practiced and how much these pro guys like practiced, and it is really a job. And I mean, if these guys look at it like a job, the younger generation, I mean, a lot
better chance.
go,
Yeah.
Get up
a lot
and get
of
to
them
it. Yeah,
clock,
take care of your horse. It's like
No
Tom.
clock.
Like Tom was really good about because like you come from hardly nothing, you know. So he's like, hey, this is my
my
ticket
ride.
right here. This is my ticket. So every time like he would, and big money's just a big kind of a almost a racehorse looking thing. You know what I mean? Like you see some cow horses with long manes and tails. Like he's more of a racehorse looking thing. He had kind of a nice little mane and stuff, but Tom would make sure to brush that sucker down. Had a nice tail. It wasn't just this long, didn't drag the ground, but he had a nice tail. But Tom would brush that sucker out. He's proud of it. You know what I'm saying? But that little bit right there, that little effort that he took, and writing the rodeos down that he went to, writing how much money the entry fees were, how much money he won, little things like that.
Well, I mean, think about that journal. I mean, if you wouldn't have had that journal and that argument came up, man, you would have beat yourself up in the head thinking, oh, shit.
Maybe I did.
I
Because you knew
maybe I
instantly.
did.
Just
Oh,
going
yeah.
back. You knew right then.
No, straight up, I was like,
Maybe
dude,
I
I'm so
did.
thankful that you paid attention.
And the only reason I started that, because I kind of wanted to see if I was good enough, how many I caught. I'd ride if my heeler roped a leg, or like I wrote everything down, you know. And
That's
it wasn't
awesome.
it was just to see, man, did I turn enough? Did I do my job? And then it turned into, we got a chance to make it. You know, I was trying to plan for the next 5 years if I was going to try again.
That writing stuff down, like I never did that ever. And
I have to.
you know,
dude,
and I like everybody, you know, told me, and then here lately, this past year, I made, you know, just writing some shit down that I do every day. Like it's
I tried
important.
to steal a paper out of your notebook the other day, and I had to go back like 12 pages.
Yeah.
It's just a blank piece of paper.
Because some people are just wired like that to do that, and I
His
would have
book
been,
was the same thing.
Yeah. So I'm trying to, because man, it's just nice to have stuff like that. And that's,
But I mean, that's huge for some of the younger listeners to hear, because I mean, you're trying to do your part. What you said is like, look, if I'm catching and I'm doing my part, that's all I can do, and I can just keep getting better, and then I can support my partner. Man, you caught a leg, but shit, let's go on to the next one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, or whatever.
What I kind of had figured out is if I could turn, you know, say if a header is really fast and turns 50%, the heeler's got to heel 100% of them, pretty much to win. You know, if I could turn 80% of them, you know, and the heeler catches 80% or so, we're gonna win. We might not win first.
yeah.
And that was another deal. Like my dad, you know, back in the day, you caught. And I listened to the Dennis Gates one, and he's like, you caught.
Yeah.
No matter what, you catch. Well, I'd call home and I'd be like, man, I missed this one. He's like, just go catch. I'm like, 4-5's winning last. I gotta throw it to try to be 4-5, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the difference nowadays too, is, you know, you got to go fast.
Yeah.
But consistency is still.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's still in there. Like you watch the average every year.
Well, this week was all jackpot. Memorial Day weekend
Oh,
in Texas, they had jackpots for a week out there.
Yeah.
So you still got to know how to catch.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you show up at the rodeo, you're gonna have to be 4 or 5.
Right. But you know, you watch the finals and come like round, 8, 9, 10. That's all you hear Beaver talking about. Man, these guys been consistent. They,
Caleb and Junior, the last one
they've
did.
placed on all the rounds. They maybe make a businessman run, or you know what I mean. So
That's one of my favorite stories. That's why I brought up Caleb K, because one of the he is percentage wise, he turned more steers than any that I've ever seen any header turn for first. And his partner was right on the money, and they were like in the 70 percentile in catch percentages throughout the year, and winning. Like they won so much money, more than any team has ever won, because I think Caleb, he had his head horses lined out, and he was turning these steers, and he was sharp, but he was studying, and he's been to all these rodeos now. He knows what the start is. He knows what the cattle are going to do. He knows what horse is going to take for the situation. Junior's the same way, and these guys are smart about it now. And it's like, man,
business.
it's a business, man. So like, that's why Tom did so good in his career. Like, he made the finals a couple times, and I think now what he does is like, he's so smart with his business stuff that he can do anything. Like we talked about, like he did a store. He ran a store for a little while, running a cattle deal. Like if he wanted to be a CEO in some kind of business, he could figure out how to do it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I think that's why I like traveling with Tom. Like his you'd have a conversation with him. It's smart, like educated. Like
we talk about that.
It was fun, and then like we can go to the bar and have a few drinks and have a good time too. It's like that's why I enjoy traveling with him, roping with him.
Yeah, that's why I enjoy hanging out.
Yeah, same thing. You know what I mean? It's just fun to hang out with.
Just fun to hang out with. Yeah.
So you gonna go anymore? I mean, is your career completely over retired or?
Yeah.
You're staying home.
I
now,
have
huh?
a wife and 2
Mhm.
kids now, Jade and Wesley. So we built a house, and I'm comfortable there.
That's cool.
I ask some of these guys all the time, like, is there ever like you're sitting at home and you're going through a magazine or you're looking on your phone or whatever, and you see this big jackpot come up and it's paying like 50,000 to win it? Is there ever an itch in your finger where you just want to call Cesar and be like, let's just go, let's
Well,
just go?
Like you want to, but you know how hard those guys
Yeah.
are tuning up for it, and you're
Right.
gonna get thrown out there, and it's
Yeah.
tough to
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
get
sure.
back in the mix. You know.
Yeah, but the want's still there.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
For sure. But after all of it and all said and done, what's your one favorite rodeo besides the finals?
Prescott is my favorite.
Hometown.
Yeah,
Mhm.
That's cool.
I like it just because there's so
Friends
much
and family
history
and
there,
everybody
yeah.
there too to watch you. I'm sure.
And I
Everybody
do
close.
still buy my card, and I go to a few of the circuit rodeos
Mhm.
and Prescott. I'd like to try to win at one time. We won
I-
second
Yeah.
one year.
Yeah. Yeah, we did good there. That's what I was going to ask if you've ever won. I thought you and Nick maybe won at one time.
No, I
'Cause
think me and
these
you won
guys were
second.
pretty good in the circuit back in the day when he was younger. So, like I said, I jackpotted with him when he was before he was 18. We did really good, and then as soon as he turned 18, he's going to the circuit rodeos around here. He was pretty successful at the circuit rodeo, so he was ready to go to the pro rodeos, like that next step. And so it was pretty cool to watch his whole journey. Like I've seen him beat me on the
Beat you
dummy
for a
when
trailer?
yeah, for my 2-horse trailer when he was a kid, and then to get to rope with him at the finals and
That's
stuff
pretty
and travel with him was just fun.
That's pretty cool. Well, man, we're thankful that you came, made the trip down the hill, and we'd like to have you back if you ever get down this way again. So
Okay, thank
Thanks
you
for
guys
coming
for
and seeing
having
us.
me.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Thank
Tom.
you.
bye bye.